Hey everyone, I know you've gotten your individualized feedback by now. I had one person get to me and let me know that they couldn't open the scan. If that's any of you, please let me know and I'll be happy to find another way. I haven't figured out how yet, but I'm going to find another way to get the feedback to you. Heads up, it might just be that I take pictures of it with my phone and try sending those pictures versus a PDF document, but I'll find another way. I've also had some successful conferences with students over video about their papers, so if you want to do that, please let me know. It's not as scary as you think, I promise. You can ask your peers. Okay, I wanted though to give you some overall feedback. This is what I would normally do in class, and I think especially because APA is such a beast, it's helpful to go in and after the fact and kind of do a bit of a post-mortem and think about what went well and what didn't go as well. Okay, so the good news is most of you did really, really good research. You found good sources and you cited those sources correctly for the most part. I would say probably 90% of you found good sources and cited them correctly. That's an excellent start, okay? Trying to figure out how to, here we go. There are a few things though that that could be improved upon. So one of those is the quality of information. So the sources might be good, but what we've done with the sources is kind of bring it to a bit of an encyclopedic level. Okay, so in other words, you look up essential information, kind of baseline information. That's sort of what a lot of you have included in your paper. So rather than just giving the symptoms of a mental illness, for instance, or the process of treatment, instead you want to argue what the public school system should do to make treatment more accessible for teens. So you see the difference there, how one of them is just giving information, the other is applying that information to an argument. Okay, so part of that's quality of information, digging into what experts have to say about a topic versus what a general website has to say about a topic. Okay, so part of that is the sources themselves, part of that is what you do with the sources. All right, the other thing to keep in mind is the audience. So you are writing for your peers, but in an academic setting. So a lot of you, for instance, used second person. Here's an example to give you a sense of why that's not a great idea in this setting. And I'm sorry if the text is cut off a little bit, the way the screen recorder is working. I think my face might be cutting off the text a little bit, so I will read it to you. Okay, so consider the effect of reading a paper that reads, "You can seek help for your addiction in the following ways." Okay, now no one's going to read it and say, "Wait, you think I'm an addict?" That's not the point. It's more so that it creates more of a direct audience, where instead you want to be writing for a more general audience. People who aren't necessarily directly affected by addiction but want to understand addiction more fully and want to understand your argument about addiction. So instead you might say something like, and this is a made-up statistic by the way, you might say something like, addicts who seek help early are 70% more likely to recover completely. Okay, so one is more kind of research-based, you're writing for an interested academic audience, versus writing something a little bit more like a brochure. Here are the ways that you can seek help for addiction. Okay, also along those lines, keep in mind that this is an argument paper. Yes, in APA we want to stick to just the facts. Yes, we want to be research-based. Yes, to some extent it's a bit of a report, but more than anything it is still an argument, right? Keep in mind, even when you write lab reports, you're making an argument in the discussion section about what your lab actually suggests or what we can take from that lab, right? So it is an argument still. So rather than a helpful brochure, your paper should read like an argumentative essay. Don't let the headings trick you into turning your paper into a handout or informational packet, okay? The headings are just there to guide your reader through your argument. So if it helps, think of your APA paper like a standard 5-paragraph essay. that you're now simply adding headings to. Okay, so remember way back when we talked about how an APA audience prefers having things broken down, right? Prefers having just the essential information. That's what the headings are for, okay? And also when you get into those, 20, 30-page papers that are often published in academia, it helps to have kind of mental breaks. So that's what they're for. Okay. Also citations. This is a big one. Okay. Cite every piece of information, that's not common knowledge. That's the same in APA and in MLA. Okay, so that doesn't change, that you cite each one. So make sure every source listed in your resources is also cited in the body of your paper. Not doing so is technically plagiarism. So many of you actually technically plagiarized this semester, okay? Normally what I would do if you hadn't cited all of your sources in the body of your paper, and I'm sorry, you can hear my son crying in the other room. Someone's taking care of him, I promise. Normally what I would do is give you a 0, not give you, but I would put in the 0 and then say, okay, go in and add your citations and then I'll grade it. This semester, because we have extenuating circumstances, instead I knocked several points off for not having those in, okay? And the reason I did that is because if you don't have the time or the mental energy or whatever it is to go back in and make those changes, you at least have a grade for your paper instead of a 0. However, I think you will find, many of you who have grades that you're unhappy with, I think you will find that if you go back in and you add the missing citations, in-text citations, your grade will improve dramatically. Which brings me to my final point. Revisions. All revisions are due Friday, May 1st by 11:59 p.m. That's this Friday. All you have to do is email your revised paper to me, and I already got one today. Hopefully you know who you are. I'll be responding as soon as I can. I already got one today, so awesome. I know I'm going to be getting another one tomorrow. So keep those coming. Please take advantage of this opportunity to earn a higher grade. Genuinely, and you don't have to spread this to everyone, genuinely you are one of the brightest overall groups I have taught. And so I think it would be unfair to yourselves to let many of the grades I have entered stand for this paper. I think, I mentioned to a colleague recently, I submitted something and I said, well, this is COVID work. That's what I termed it. This is not how I want it to be. This is what I could put together with, kids climbing on my back, right? So I would imagine many of you are in the same position. You submitted COVID work, right? But if my colleague comes back to me and says, I get it, but this really isn't up to par, I'm going to go back and fix it, right? So I hope that you will all do the same. Do the best you can to do your best level work, okay? So please take advantage of the revisions and get those into me. Really quick, while I have you all, hopefully I have you all, really quick, I have started printing your literary responses, so I will get grades in for those as soon as I can. I do have assignments in other classes I need to grade first, since I just gave you all feedback. However, you should have those grades soon and know where you stand in the course. Please make sure that you're going into the course, looking at all of your grades so you know where you stand. Please make sure that you're reaching out to me via email so that you can be in touch with me about concerns you have about your grade, and we can make plans to make sure that you get the grade that you deserve, okay? If you need some extra time to get final assignments in, to get revisions in, let me know. There is the possibility of an incomplete, where you would finish the rest of your work over the summer. This won't work unless you've submitted over 50% of the coursework this semester, but let's say you've done fantastic work right up until March. And then those assignments just weren't what you wanted, and you do not have time between now and Friday to make those revisions. Be in touch with me. Okay, we can maybe work out an incomplete for you. All right, so main thing is make sure that you're still checking everything. Know that if the grades you see are not what you want, they can be changed. Okay, I'll be in touch about some other details, but this video is getting a little long, so I'm going to cut it off there. The main thing is, do make revisions, do get in touch with me about questions or concerns that you have, and those of you who did wonderful work on this paper, congrats. Well done. Talk to you guys soon.